Okay, so kicking off the list, the first four are in no particular order. They're all just as depressing for me at the time, and the last one, number one, was the point that I went through a lot of sort of emotional breakdowns just because of my age and so forth. And the sheer extent of the time, it all very, very much, like, you know, brought me to tears a few times, if I have to be honest. But that's what my list is. It's my personal worst things that happened. So starting off is my first time I went to Iraq. I was 19. It was my first unit, so I just obviously done phase 1, phase 2, and then got posted to 1SR in Germany. I was there. Yeah, I went out, I don't know, around about March 2006 sort of thing. So I was only, I think I must have just hit 19 or 18, and my birthday was out there 19 or something like that. I think I just, or was it May? I think I just turned 19 before I went. But yeah, anyway, so I was still very young. Yeah, I've not done much. I've only been in the unit a few months, like 6 months. But so basically my whole time there, it didn't really kick in to start with, but I looked around me as everyone else was getting things that I wasn't. So what I mean is, basically my whole time there, I didn't receive a single letter or email or anything of the sorts from anybody in my family. At one bit, I remember I was there 7 months, and if I did get one letter, I really, really, really don't remember it, because I for a fact, I actually sold my phone card, because I felt like if no one's wanting to talk to me, I'm pretty sure they don't want to hear back from me. So I did do a few phone calls when I first started, but then I quickly realised after a few months had passed, by not receiving a single email or a single letter. I mean, that you send them for free with them, I don't know what they're called, blueies. You know, everyone was getting them, yeah, all the time, but I wasn't for 7 months, obviously quite a young age. So that was, for me, quite a bit of a shocker. And you would have thought it was the fact we were getting mortared every day, or our guys in our squadrons like got his kneecap blown out over a bit of land me and my best friend walked over about 2 minutes before. Then that whole area got like mortared, so we could have got blown up right there. But yeah, so that's number 4 in my list. Number 5, sorry. Number 4 is the second time I went to Iraq. Yeah, I see a pattern. So the second time I went to Iraq, I was 21. I'd been engaged for a few months. I was with my German fiance. We were together a year and a half. So yeah, most people, yeah, get engaged sort of semi-young semi-soon when they're quite young. But she was my first girlfriend for about 2 years. You know, I was single for like 2 years. Couldn't find anyone. Then I finally got with someone, and I really thought, you know, as if you're single that long, if you get with someone for a while, you really think that they are the one. And I thought, I proposed to her after a year, and in my eyes, things were really good. But partway through being in Iraq, so remember we've been together 18 months now, so about 4 months into Iraq, I found out, yeah, she'd been doing stuff. What I mean is, like, she was a bit of a party girl. This is one of the things that put me off party girls, was she was out all the time, but she started dating some guy she met out on the piss, and basically left me for this guy that she met on the piss whilst I'm still in Iraq. And my job out in Iraq was force protection, so I was on vehicles, you know, out on the ground, checking for, you know, the roadside bombs, you know, things that kill all the soldiers. The biggest killer of all soldiers is the roadside bombs, IEDs. But that was my job. Both my tours was that job, is walking around on the ground looking for them, like a retard I am. But that's what we had to do on force protection, is look for them bombs so they didn't blow up everyone else. So that, when she did that, that blew my mind. That I couldn't focus for weeks. You can imagine, you know, that's happened. All you want to do is ask questions, why, you know. But all I could do was go on 12-hour journeys or whatever, however long they were, 8 hours, and I meant to be looking for all these IEDs, but all I could think of was Janine. I couldn't train, I couldn't eat or sleep properly, and I couldn't do my job properly just because it was so hard, just because I've been single so long. Finally got with someone I really did like, proposed to her, I was 21, and yeah, it just blew my mind, kind of thing. So that was a very hard and emotional time for me, the whole circumstances and the fact that, I mean, what I think a girl that does that to someone on tour is absolutely heartless. It may be a German thing, yeah, I'm joking. Okay, so it's gonna sound really sad now. My other worst time was my second fiance. If you didn't know, I've been engaged twice. Jesus Christ. But after my first fiance did that, yeah, I was about 3 months through Iraq. But after, you know, time helps a lot. It was around about 6 months whilst I was in Iraq still, 2008, and on the last month I was on, what was I on? I was on some dating site. Or was it just Facebook? I think it was just Facebook. But I started talking to this girl, and I got like, just because I'm trying to get rid of all my emotions from my ex, I basically rebounded onto her, and I got like mega attached to her. And then I ended up proposing to her like after 10 months of being together. But I was like, yeah, I was mad into her for, at the time anyway. But she again went out downtown drinking with her sisters, and she got with some guy downtown and went back to camp, the block next to mine, cheekily enough. But what happened first was she said for me to, I'll pick her up around about 3 or whatever, but I didn't get a phone call, and I fell asleep at like 2. I was expecting a phone call to wake me up. I woke up at like 7 going, oh Jesus, yeah, I checked my phone, no calls. I was like, what the hell? I was like, so I tried ringing, like, where are you? She goes, oh, I'm downtown, my friend, in that hotel I told you about. And I found that really, I didn't believe that for some reason. My instinct said that I don't believe that. So I drove downtown because, yeah, I was getting a bit like weary about it. I went to that hotel because it was literally just in Gutslow. It was literally 5 minutes down the road. So I drove there, went to see her friends, and I was like, oh, where's Kim? And they were like, oh, we don't know. We don't know at all. I said, oh, she said she'd be here. So I rang Kim. And I said, oh, where are you? She goes, oh, I'm with my friends at the hotel, like I said. I said, no, you're not, because I'm stood with them right now in the hotel. So she hung up the phone in a panic. Then I was like, what the hell's going on? So I was like texting away, where the hell are you? And she's like, oh, I'm just on my way home. So I was like, I don't believe that for shit. And her home's only like 5 minutes away, so I quickly drove there. And I was like, where are you? She goes, I'm on my way home. And I said, no, you're not, because I'm at the door. And then she panicked again, hung up, went back to mine, I didn't know what the hell's going on. And then she messaged me saying that I'm coming over to yours. And then she come over to mine with a engagement ring on her other finger. And it took me over a day to get it out of her to where she'd been. And she'd been sleeping with a guy in the next block to me. And that for me was really hard as well, because when I get attached to someone emotionally, when I think, yeah, I really like them, it does get very hard for me to train, eat, you know, sleep, do normal things as you do when your head's all messed up. So that was another emotional time for me. This one's not so much. This one's probably the least, but I was struggling to think of a fifth of one to fit in here before my worst. It's just a real the shittest job I've had to do. This is basically the shittest job I've had to do since I've been in the army, and that was when I went to Canada for 7 weeks. That was just, what a waste of time that was. My job was the crappiest job. I had to drive around the entire prairie. I mean, the prairie's massive. The prairie's like UK pure grass. Like, you know, it's that size. But I had to drive everywhere to go for tanks, look for tanks and drain oil out of their engines with this thing called a sucker chuck that I'd never seen before. Well, that was my job for 6 weeks. That was not emotional. It was just 6 weeks of pure dog shit. I just hated it. It was, yeah. But it's where I got my tattoo, was Canada. So I mean, it's not the best tattoo by a long shot. But hey, it's there now. But yeah, that's. I'm just trying to. I couldn't think of one to put before my worst one. Alright, but now I'll tell you my worst experience, and that was my whole 3 years in 1LSR. Basically, when I first got there, obviously quite young, I was still very much into Taekwondo, and people don't know, black belt Taekwondo comes second in the army. Done quite a lot with martial arts back in the past, and with national championships, winning that and so forth. But when I was in 1LSR, I was still practicing and stuff. I was still training with it, so I was always practicing in my own time. But it was like, you know, you always get your hard guy in the squadron. Yeah, you always get that guy who thinks he's the tits. And one night I was in a 3-man room. I was sleeping in my bed, and he decided he was pissed out of his head, because Scottish people are always pissed generally, right? Generally. And he come in, decided to wake me up with his forehead, and just headbutted me whilst I was asleep. He's like 27. He was. I was like 18. I was pretty young then. I was 17, 18. Yeah, I think I was 18. And yeah, that was pretty nuts. He got thrown out the room. He did. I was like, what the hell is going on? More stuff happened after that with bits and bobs. But it was my whole time at 1LSR. I felt very victimized a lot by my hierarchy with a lot of things, stuff I can't be bothered to go into. But when it's basically, it all blew out after I had some mad breakdowns and a lot of homo crying. It was my leaving speech where I really give it all back to them. So I spent 3 years with this unit. I did an entire tour with them, and basically they knew I was going, obviously booking out everything. They knew I was leaving, and there was like two other people that I was leaving as well that same day. So we was meant to have a big thing, but only them 2 other people. One guy had only been there for a couple months, and one guy had been there for like a year and a bit, or 2 years, but he was a staffy or whatever, and he was sound, so it was alright. But the other guy hardly been there, sort of thing. But they both got a full leaving things, you know, presents, speeches, and everything from everyone. And basically, because I knew that I was sort of semi-victimized by a lot of things, I didn't, no one acknowledged anything about me or whatever, and I just blew up with a huge emotional speech saying how much I fucking hated everyone, how much I hate this place. I said loads of stuff. I said no one. I mean, no one. I was tearing, crying. I was like, no one follow me at all. I just got in my car and drove to my block. It was, I felt very isolated when in my first unit. I was because I've always been semi-outcasty kind of thing, just generally how I am, because the antisocial thing. But how I was victimised, it broke me a lot of ways. But yeah, that's my 5 worst times in the army. So hopefully you enjoyed, and look forward to the top 5 best ones. Thank you very much.